Alright, everybody, today we're reviewing Ninja Turtles. We're reviewing the episode Croaking. So this is the first appearance of the frogs in Ninja Turtles. They basically appeared in like the 80s show as the punk frogs. And I think it was just the 80s show. And I think recently one of the frogs was in Mutant Mayhem. But also in this show, they have a full army full of frogs. Like in the 80s show, it's just 4 frogs. So what's this episode about? It's basically where Mikey is screwing around at the farmhouse, and he accidentally trashes the... Well, I guess he did it on purpose. He and Ice Cream Kitty got April's farm all trashed with like pizza and just stuff everywhere. And the Turtles, April and Casey, come home disappointed in Mikey and telling him he's a screw up because he just causes a mess all the time. And they leave and they tell Mikey to clean up the place while they're out. And then I guess Mikey is just had enough of them always crapping on him, and even April feels a little bad. Like she gives him a look as she leaves. Then Mikey just decides to just run away from home, and that's where he meets the punk frogs, or the frog army, whatever you want to call it. And this episode, I feel, it's not the best episode, but like it's kind of like a simpler episode about Mikey, and maybe showing the Turtles kind of give him a hard time all for his goofiness. I feel like that's expressed more in this episode, which I really like. But once he meets this punk frog guy, it's just like, I think his name is Napoleon, and he is like, I don't know, he knows martial arts and some basics, but it's not really like impressive or anything. But Mikey shows his skills, and that's where we meet the frog army, and they kind of have they have a hatred of humans. Why is that? Because they destroyed their, I guess, swampy land, and built cities and a bunch of stuff that are bad for the air. So it's basically they're complaining about air pollution and kind of what's wrong with today's society right now, where we got so much technology that doesn't even make our Earth healthy. And I feel like this episode kind of raises awareness for that. It'd be a cool episode for Earth Day. But because of this, the frogs want their revenge on the humans. And so how they meet the humans, they end up running into April, Casey, and the Turtles back at the farmhouse, and they do return. They're disappointed that Mikey still hasn't cleaned the place, and then April calls them out, especially Raph, for always being not very nice to Mikey. And then Raph's like, what? But then they're interrupted by the frogs, and after talking to Mikey and Napoleon about people, and they asked if they are good people, and then or something, and then I think the Turtles are just like hiding, and then they're saying you guys can go away, and then they decide to kidnap the Turtles and April and Casey, and that's where Mikey and Napoleon are forced to team up to basically take down the frogs. And I think one of the frogs, I forget one of their names, I think he's played by the one with the nut on his head for a hat. Like he's played by the Kevin Michael Richardson, who voices the Shredder in this show. So it's nice to see him voice other characters. Like you could just tell who's voicing the frog. Like it's weird when you can recognize actors who their voices are for certain characters. But anyway, I think the Turtles do get free from Mikey and Napoleon, and then I think what happens next is I think the frogs cause the tree to burn down, the place they lived, and April kind of just teaches them the next day that not all humans are bad, and maybe the frogs could maybe consider giving them a chance, but they all decide to just move away. And what caused their mutation was I think a mutagen that spilled, like what we saw in the last episode when April's mom was dumping mutagen. I'm guessing this takes place a few days later after that episode is my guess. But it's not. So the punk frogs are, I don't know, they were all right. They were all right villains. So it was all a big misunderstanding, and at least they do learn that not all people are bad. Yeah. So that's this episode. So not the best episode, but certainly just a fine watch. But this is the episode I least remember. I don't know. It would have been nice to see the punk frogs return again. I could see them as potential villains, except for Napoleon. But we don't see him again after this episode. Bummer. But the next episode I'm actually really excited to talk about is the Dream Beavers episode. That one's going to be very fun. So I'd probably give this episode probably a 6 out of 10. So that being said, thanks for watching, and Turtle Power.